Here's your second chapter. Chapter 2 has to do with cash as well as with fraud and internal control. Chapter 2 of your modules, however, if you want to reference your textbook, you want to go to Chapter 8 in your textbook for any background information. There are your learning objectives. You can see Chapter 8 is listed there. That's the chapter in your book. First objective has to do with concepts. We want to understand what cash is and what a cash equivalent is, as well as how to report those two items. And then the process or procedural aspect is preparation of an actual bank reconciliation. There's your learning objective. We want to know what cash is, as well as a cash equivalent, and how we're going to report those items in our accounting records. Some procedural things here. We want to be sure that the individual who actually handles the cash is not the same person who is responsible for the record keeping for cash. Okay, and then on the right hand side, we want to get our cash in the bank as quickly as possible so that we have use of it, or so that we get some interest there. And then finally at the bottom, cash payments are made by check or an electronic funds transfer called an EFT. Cash and cash equivalents and liquidity. Cash and similar assets are called liquid assets. Okay, if it's liquid, we can get the use of it very readily. And cash, of course, is the most liquid asset of all. We call cash any currency that we have, any bills that we have, any coins that we have, any deposits in bank accounts. And we also include customer checks and cashier's checks, certified checks, money orders. All of those things are considered to be cash. Cash equivalents are really short-term assets. Let's get down so that you can see them. They're very liquid. We can turn them into cash pretty quickly, and they're close to their maturity date. And because they're close to that date, they're not going to change in value. Got a couple of goals of cash management. We want to have a good handle on when our money is coming in. We're going to plan our receipts to meet our payments when we have to reduce those payables. And also we want to keep a minimum level of cash available for operations. And the box down below talks about some strategies to manage our cash well. We want to collect our receivables as quickly as we possibly can. And the other side of it is we want to delay payment of our payables as long as possible. Okay, we want to only keep assets that we're using, and also we need to have a good plan for making payments. If we have excess cash, let's invest it rather than letting it sit idle in a bank account. There are some services here. You probably all know what these are. Filled out a signature card. You know what a bank account is, I'm sure. You have checking account, deposit tickets. You probably filled those out for yourself. Checks, bank statements, EFTs, electronic funds transfer. So this is kind of redundant for you. I have to apologize for that. Here's a picture of a deposit ticket. Probably worked with this as well. It lists the cash and cash checks along with the amounts. The summary is on the front of that document. You can see a picture of it there. And the actual checks that you deposited are listed on the back. And it's important to us because it shows that we actually put that money in the bank. Check. There's a picture of one, the maker of the check, the signer of the check, the payee, that's the person that it is made out to, and the payor, that's the person that signs the check. Bank statement, I'm sure you've seen all of these things, but maybe it doesn't hurt to just go over them. There's your beginning balance on October 1 and your ending balance on October 31, way down at the bottom there. In the withdrawals column, you can see that we've got a check printing charge. You wouldn't have been aware of that until you got your statement probably. And then also at the very end, you can see that we got a little bit of interest on the money in our checking account. So that's in addition to the balance. The ending balance, $2,050. Okay, why do we look at that bank statement? Well, we need to keep track of what the bank shows is available to us. Here's our actual reconciliation. You can see the adjustments to the bank balance on the left, the adjustments to the book balance on the right-hand side. On the left, bank balance adjustments. If we have made a deposit, let's say that we had some checks and it was after banking hours, we went to a night depository slot and we put in our deposit, but the bank wasn't going to have knowledge of that and get it onto our statement for a day or so. We show that deposit on our books. We call it a deposit in transit. We add it to our bank balance. And then outstanding checks, those are checks that we have written, we put them in the mail. They're in the banking system, but they haven't come back through that system and cleared our bank account. So we need to subtract those outstanding checks from our bank balance. On the right-hand side, book balance adjustment, again, we have that interest that we earned at $8. We're going to add that to our books, and then if a note has been collected for us by the bank, we need to make note of that in our books. We add that to the book balance. So we subtract any bank fees and NSF checks. An NSF check, again, check that we deposited in good faith. We thought it was good, but when it got to the payer's bank account, there just wasn't enough money to cover it. Didn't clear, came back through the system, and so we need to deduct that from our book balance. And here's a summary slide for us. Balance of a checking account rarely, if ever, equals the balance in our records. And there on the left, the adjustments to the bank balance, and on the right-hand side, the adjustments to our own accounting records. Here it shows the actual bank reconciliation, and you can see the important aspect of that is that our adjusted bank balance way down at the bottom is equal to the adjusted book balance. When those two numbers are the same, we know everything's okay. And this last slide just makes that statement.